Good morning, welcome back. Okay, question. Sealed wheel bearings. Are they serviceable or not? Right, I bring this because every time I fit new sealed wheel bearings to one of the motorcycle projects, I'll get asked at least once in the comments, why didn't you grease the bearings before you put them in? So let's get into that. Now, not to be confused with headstock bearings, which are a taper roller bearing. I'm sure you know that. They come apart and they are to be packed firmly with grease. And in fact, Harley-Davidson have a service schedule for their headstock bearings. You are to undo them, you are to repack them and do them back up and do the fall away test. They're actually a serviceable bearing. We're not talking about those, we are talking about sealed wheel bearings. Now, just so it's not a misnomer, they are sealed bearings, but that doesn't mean they're sealed and you can't get in there. They're not glued solid or anything. The seals are just popped in, very much like the seals on the dust caps on your forks. You can get in there very carefully and remove the seals with a pick, like this. Get in there under the side of the seal, get right in under it, and just gently rotate, and then come round. And it should lift it out, like that. And you can see on the inside that it's got a very thin metal inner, so it's quite easy to distort that. Same procedure as before, in under the side, and off it comes. Now this has got a secondary seal on the inside as well. Let's see if I can get in under it. There it is. There we go. And that's another metal backed seal. Second seal out on that side. And there we are. Now we've finally got some access to the bearing. So with the 4 seals removed, you can see on the outside you just get access to nothing, just the back of a plastic carrier. But on the inside of the bearing, there's that plastic carrier and the ball bearings all sitting neatly in it. Nicely, but that's not the most surprising thing. Now, it's quite a shock to find out how little grease is actually inside that bearing. In fact, there's no build-up of grease in there at all. I go as far as to say it's just a greasy coating on everything. That's all. No actual pack whatsoever. And of course, it's naturally obvious to assume that anybody popping a seal off and having a look inside for good measure is going to see that and imagine their headstock bearings that we know we pack solid with grease and think, well, I need to pack that with grease, quite obviously. But that can, apparently, cause a problem. And that is, apparently, if you wedge them full of grease, solid, you're then asking the internals to swim through that grease, hard, at speed. And obviously that's going to lead to friction and heat build-up. And if you heat cycle the grease constantly, it's going to turn into a dried out mess. And I've seen that in bearings in the past. So definitely not too much grease. I think that's all bad. You'll lead to premature failure. But I think maybe a little bit more than that. Anyway, more or less, packed solid or not, I think there's another issue to consider as well. Every time I've done a pair of wheel bearings for somebody prematurely, a bike with 20,000 miles or something, it's because water's got in under the seals. It's not about the grease. It's never about the amount of grease. Kind of forget that. It's about the seals. Once you've breached the factory seal and got a pick and flipped them off, you've damaged them. This one, for instance, if you take a close look, it's got a little kink where I fitted it back in. It's gone in with a nice little snap, but that kink means it will not now seal as well as it did at the factory. And if I put my pick on there and have another go at that, it literally falls straight back out. It's not even as securely fitted as it was before. So that's the point. Never mind how much grease is in them. The minute you have had your seal pick in there and got those seals out and you try and put them back in, you've signed its fate. It will prematurely fail. No matter how much grease is in there, that part of the argument is completely irrelevant. It's all about the seals. Leave them alone. They're there to keep the water out. Don't touch them. Take them out of the box, fit them on the bike, go and do something else instead. That's the moral of the story. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.